screening and possible confirmation of appointments of 7 ministerial nominees forwarded to it by President Bola Tinubu last week. Special advisor to the president on Senate matters, Bashir Lado, says the postponement was to allow all nominees conclude all aspects of documentation and pre-screening exercises. Recall that President Bola Tinubu sent a formal request for the screening and confirmation of 7 ministerial nominees last Thursday. The nominees to be screened are Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Nintawa Yowatda, Minister of Labour and Employment, Muhammad Odingyadi, and Bianca Odumego Ojukwu as Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. Others are Minister of Industry, Trade and Development, Jumoke Odowole, Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Meha, Yusuf Atta will be screened as Minister of State for Housing, while Suwaiba Ahmad will be screened as Minister of State for Education. Now to developments in the northern part of Nigeria. The Transmission Company of Nigeria has assured that power will be restored to affected parts of the north in 5 days. The TCN says the power outage in the north was caused by vandalism and insecurity in the region. And President Bola Tinubu has expressed concern over the blackout in the region. President Tinubu condemned vandalism and destruction of power infrastructure and other public assets that caused the unfortunate blackout. He also directed the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu to work with the Army and Air Force to deploy adequate security personnel, including aerial cover, to protect the engineers who are fixing the damaged transmission line. The president wants traditional rulers, community leaders, and other leaders to work with security agencies to protect power assets and infrastructure. And the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabo, says electricity consumers affected by the prolonged power outages in parts of the Northwest will not be billed or required to pay any form of charges for that period. The minister said efforts have been concluded to fix the vandalized lines at the Shiroro power line. The minister was speaking during a chat with State House correspondent in the presidential villa shortly after briefing President Bola Tinubu on the power situation in the country.
The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, they already set out to fix this line. What they have asked for, which has been provided to them now, is the security cover of the National Security Advisor through the Chief of Army Staff and Chief of Air Staff to enable them restore the damaged lines. And we're optimistic that very soon this will be fully restored. Yes, what we are working on, like I'm going to have a meeting with the chairman of NAC and all the discos, for those days during which they suffered blackout, there should not be billing of any sort for any customer, be it household customer, office consumer, or industrial consumer. They will be immune for billing for those periods.
And away from that now to security. Kenya's former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, has called on leaders in Africa to live up to expectations and deliver good governance. Mr. Kenyatta noted that corruption threatens national security and the solution must be preferred. Our correspondent, Sifon Isien, has more.
It's the commencement of training for participants of Course 33 in the National Defense College, Abuja. 100 senior military, paramilitary and government officials from within and outside the country are participating.
The current Course 33, as you have all been told earlier, is composed of a total of 100 participants, comprising 54 officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces, 5 officers of the Nigerian Police Force, 18 personnel from various ministries, departments and agencies of government, as well as 23 international participants.
Kenya's former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, presents the inaugural lecture titled "The Imperative for Strong Institutions, a Panacea for National Security and Development."
We have as a continent the highest concentration of agricultural potential, and critical mineral wealth in the world. Yet we remain a continent divided. We are still unable to grasp these levers and use them effectively.
Despite the vast agricultural and mineral resources, Mr. Kenyatta worries that the continent is yet to effectively harness the resources for its rapid development.
Are we innovating technology that is contextualized towards our own development needs, or are we merely consumers of algorithms designed to bend the psyche of our society to the whims of extra-jurisdictional corporations for their profit? To what extent are the conflicts on our continent purely organic, or are we merely a more convenient battleground for the extension of proxy wars for global powers that seek to influence our trajectory in one way or another?
Much as the answers may just well be in the questions, the fourth president of Kenya wants African leaders to have a rethink and deliver good governance. Sifon Essien, TVC News, Abuja.
Staying with security, the British military has donated equipment worth 1 billion naira to the Nigerian Army's Operation Hedinkai to enhance the fight against Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast. The equipment, which includes advanced counter-improvised explosive device technology, was handed over to the troops at the Theatre Command Training School in Maimalari Cantonment, Maiduguri. The British military also deployed a team of experts to train Nigerian troops on the detection, recovery, and detonation of IEDs.
UK stands with Nigeria in the fight against violent extremist organisations. This highly technical yet non-lethal military equipment complements the new and significant training support for countering improvised explosives, and it will be delivered by the British military here in the northeast of Nigeria.
This donation and this equipment support by the British Defence Section, which include training aids such as the dual sensor volume BM330, one of the highly sophisticated equipments for countering IEDs available in the world as of today. Electric powering cables, electronic exploders, hook and line equipment, and other counter-IED equipment.
Over 90% of projects captured in the 2024 budget for Zamfara State have been completed, while others are near completion. That is the thrust of speakers at the Zamfara State 2025 Budget Stakeholders Town Hall meeting. Theophilus Darufai reports.
Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal had in December 2023 presented a budget estimate of 423,523,730,000 naira for the 2024 fiscal year to the State House of Assembly. The budget tax rescue budget had 118,134,730,000 for recurrent expenditure, while 305,389 million was for capital expenditure. Security, health, education, agriculture and urban renewal were top on the budget. Governor Dauda Lawal, represented by his deputy at the 2025 Budget Stakeholders Town Hall meeting, says over 90% of the projects in the 2024 budgets have been completed, while 10% is nearly completion.
Most of the projects you nominated were well captured. Similarly, this administration has implemented a number of such projects.
The intention of that document at that time was to change the narrative of Zamfara State, was to make the wrongs right. At that time, this was all a dream. But now, after 360 days, we are back here to inform the good people of Zamfara State what that budget did for the state.
Authorities say the 2025 Budget Stakeholders Town Hall meeting is to get citizens' input for the year 2025 appropriation bill.
The Ministry of Budget and Planning have organized a bilateral discussions with all ministries, departments, and agencies. We collected input from such angle. Now we are here to collect input from our royal fathers, from the civil society organizations, and the concerned citizens of this state.
I want to call on the royal fathers that when you go back home, government is expecting you to conduct this kind of engagement and come up with the immediate requirement of your people and post safe to the Ministry of Budget and Planning.
Other speakers at the budget meeting wants government to increase allocation for health, education and other key sectors, including town planning, to enable religious bodies get access to enough worship centers. Theophilus Darufai, TVC News, Gusau.